Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the Author Spotlight here, Self-Published in 30 Days. I am your host, Rob YB Youngblood, President of Sales for Self-Published in 30 Days. And I have the pleasure of connecting with Roquita Johnson, who is also a co-author of mine within Speak Up, the ultimate guide to dominate in the speaking industry. Not only is she a dynamic author, but she's also a speaker as well, and I wanted to have her promote some of the things that she has going on. So how are you doing today?
I'm great, sir. Thank you for having me on. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. So please tell us a little bit about who you are and your background.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Roquita Johnson. I am a speaker. I am a certified world-class public speaking and presentation skills coach and trainer. So I work with people one-on-one who want to improve their public speaking and presentation skills. I also work with companies who they need their staff to get up to par with their communication skills, especially the past year with everybody having to go virtual. A lot of companies started to see my staff really needs help with their speaking skills. So I do a lot of one-on-ones, working with organizations. I do my group coaching virtually as well for a small group of people, a cohort, kind of like how you do your LinkedIn cohort sometimes. So different ways that I work with people to improve their skills. A lot of it, I get new clients. By new, I mean people who are new to public speaking. Right. Those are the people I love to work with because I'm a teacher at heart. So teaching them the fundamentals of the craft and then building upon that. A lot of people don't know the fundamentals.
So how did you get started? I mean, what prompted you to get into this lane and how did you get started?
A few years ago, maybe 13 years actually now, I was working in a company. I had a marketing role. After 6 months, I was promoted. So that's pretty quickly. The role that I had was more visible within the company. I had to lead more team meetings for my team. So I had to talk to the copywriters. I had to talk to the email designers. What is the vision for this marketing campaign that we're working on? I felt like my communication skills were not up to par because I never really had to speak like that for any length of time at a job that I had before that. But at least I recognized that. I said, I need help. So then I decided that I wanted to go to Toastmasters to at least learn how to be a bit more clear, have more clarity when I'm explaining things to people. It's not so much that I was nervous. I just needed to explain things better. I needed to have more structure, more logic for things. And that carries over into presentations as well, not just leading meetings. So that's what ultimately led me to it. And then I started competing in speech competitions. People eventually started asking me if I would help them with their speaking skills. And here I am today with the business.
I love it. I love it. And so you got involved in coaching and helping people with speaking. How is it that you became a part of the Speak Up project?
Through awesome Brian J. Olds, the founder of Black Speakers Network. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was December 2018 when he reached out to me, reached out to all of us who were a part of it. And I had to show the book right here. I've loved reading books. I've loved books since I was a child. I always said, I want to write. So when Brian asked me, do I want to be a part of this project? You would think I would jump on it, right? I was a little apprehensive, to be honest.
Really? Why?
Well, for one, we had a short amount of time to get our chapter together. Well, it was short to me anyway. For someone who had never been a part of any type of book project, you know, you have to gather your thoughts. When you're writing, you have to decide, okay, you might have a vague idea. He gave us an idea of what he would like us to talk about, but you really are piecing everything together. You are putting your stamp on it. This is your voice. These are your nuggets that you're presenting to the world. So it really does take time to decide, okay, what is everything I want to put in here? How am I going to order everything? What is going to resonate with people? I want this to be engaging and informative while people are reading it. It takes a lot of brain power. So that's why I was like, I wasn't sure at first. But then I said, I cannot do this. I cannot not be a part of this project. And I know this topic. I know what Brian is asking me to write about. I can do this. So just got to pound it out. And I'm so glad that he did ask me, that he asked all of us to be a part of it.
Absolutely. So the chapter is called Slay the Stage. Tell us a little bit about what does that entail? Obviously, we want people to read the chapter, we want people to read the book, but what was the thought process behind the chapter? And give us a quick synopsis of what your chapter is about.
Sure. Slay the Stage. Brian actually said that as the title to me when he first brought it up. My chapter is about keynote speeches, but Slay the Stage, Brian knows, is my tagline anyway. I use that when talking about having excellent public speaking and presentation skills. So that's why he wanted that tagline to be a part of this chapter about the keynote speech. So while my chapter is about what a keynote speech is, what goes into a memorable, excellent keynote speech, a lot of those nuggets, those tips that I give in that chapter, they can really be applied to any type of speech. I give advice talking about visual aids, for example. What are good examples of visual aids? Why are they important? What do you want to do and not want to do when it comes to PowerPoint? Because people love PowerPoint. I think that's the most popular visual aid, but not everybody is using PowerPoint in the way that it should be. It is supposed to add to your presentation. So I talk about things like that. I talk about storytelling. Why is that important? I personally, when I work with a lot of clients, one thing I ask them off the bat is, do you tell stories? I have some people who say no, maybe they don't see the value of it, or they feel like it's not appropriate to what they are using your presentation skills for. And that's simply not true. People don't understand the value of it. So that's one thing I talk about in the book, as well as how you can shine as a keynote speaker, how these event organizers are even starting the process to look for keynote speakers, what they're looking for, how you can make yourself a good candidate for that. So that's really what my chapter entails.
Love it, love it. Now, was Speak Up your first book, or had you published before that?
No, this is my first baby, but it definitely won't be my last. I'm kind of glad that this was the first one that I got to be a part of, because it was just a chapter that I had to write. So like I said, even though I wasn't sure at first if I wanted to do it, I was a little apprehensive. It was a good experience, because when I actually write a book that's just mine and obviously much longer, at least I will understand the process a bit more. So I'm kind of glad that I just had the opportunity to write a chapter.
Yeah, I feel the same way, because now that I work for a publishing company, it's easier for me to relate to people who have a desire to become published authors, because I can tell them by joining an anthology or a co-author project, that's your foot in the door. And a lot of times people question me and say, am I really an author even though I contributed to a book? I'm like, absolutely. Like, listen, who's going to tell me that I'm not an author, right? Who's going to tell you that you're not an author, right? Because you contributed to a book. But I think the beautiful thing about it is being able to have that confidence, like you said, to be able to take that small step and build upon it to then do your own book. So where do you see yourself going as an author? Obviously, you kind of hinted on some things for the future, but do you see yourself writing more books as it pertains to speaking? Or what's your vision for the future now that you've gotten your foot wet with Speak Up?
Definitely want to write a book that pertains to communication and public speaking skills. I also want to do something that relates to Christianity, though. A lot of my clients that I work with, they're awesome Christian women. So those are two genres that I would like to get involved in. Which one I will do next? Most likely something with the public speaking, because that is a huge passion of mine. That's something I know I can talk about easily off the bat. As far as the angle I will take with the book, I'm not sure yet, but it will be something related to, again, how to slay the stage, be a better speaker. And it might be something geared towards women. I work with a lot of women speakers, as I said, so it may be something that they can use in their arsenal to be a better speaker, whether it's I want to just be better for presentations at work, maybe they want to advance, or maybe they just want to hit conference stages. Like I work with a lot of women who own their own practices, they're entrepreneurs, and they are rocking conferences right now. Why? Because they were a part of book projects. I mean, books just lend credibility. When you are an author, it helps skyrocket your visibility. So that's what they're learning as well. So now that they've had these book projects and they're getting these opportunities, they're like, I need my presentation skills to be better. So maybe my book will focus more towards them. That's what I'm thinking.
I like that. And that's actually a good segue to my next question. So who do you love to work with? So when it comes to the type of people, you mentioned women and women entrepreneurs, but let's go a little deeper. Like say, for example, if the right people were listening, who would they be and why should they work with you?
So I have worked with a variety of people over the years, but my ideal clients are Christian female professionals and entrepreneurs. I have found that I feel like I have a heart for them, maybe because I come from that realm. Like I told you earlier with my story about working in a professional environment and feeling like I don't want to look like an idiot because I can't talk or lead this meeting properly. I want to be able to do more presentations and be engaging and informative. And that's what I'm finding, that a lot of the people, the women who come to me, they are in the same boat. So my ideal client has shifted a bit recently, to be honest. So the corporate professional women and then the Christian female entrepreneurs. I mean, they're doing excellent work. And my heart is just in that to help them with their skills. And a lot of them, even though they may be climbing the corporate ladder, a lot of people who may be in the C-suite, who are in the C-suite, I should say, they have not always had to do a lot of presentations, which you might be surprised. They may have had to have, spoken here and there, but a full-blown presentation where the spotlight is now on them, it's a little bit different. It's a whole new world. So I get a lot of them who come to me, maybe they do want to grow their business, so they know I do need to have better presentation skills if they're an entrepreneur. So that is my audience. And as far as how I work with them, why they'd want to work with me, I'm very big on teaching the fundamentals of public speaking. A lot of people have bits and pieces here and there what they think makes good speaking. They might not be wrong, but a lot of people have never really had the fundamentals hammered into them. Right. They might have one class in college, one semester, like a lot of us, and then that was it. They graduated and were thrown into their jobs. So I'm teaching them things like, what is your core message? You got to start there. You cannot just start writing your speech or presentation and you don't know what is the point of this. What are you trying to communicate to your audience? What's the bottom line message? I tell them. When people don't establish a bottom line message, that's when you'll see people start rambling in your presentations. They're not concise. They go in on all these tangents because they didn't know what the point of their message was in the first place. Right. So working with them on that, what content needs to go in that presentation to support your core message. Everything in that presentation, everything in that speech needs to support the bottom line message. And how do we start off in an engaging way? I'm very big on that. Like I teach my clients a 3-part formula for how to start off with a bang, as I call it. You got to get people's attention fast. 7 and 30 are 2 numbers that I teach my clients. 7 seconds, people will decide if they like you or not. 30 seconds, people will decide, do I want to keep listening? You don't have the luxury of time when it comes to people listening to you. So I'm working on the fundamentals with my clients. That's what I start with them on. And most of them, they are brand new anyway. They need to learn this stuff. And then we'll work on what specifically do they have? Do they have a presentation coming up? We will work on that. How do they need to rock this one?
I love it. I'm thinking about so many people that need to know who you are. So be on the lookout for some introductions, because I think you would add so much value to a lot of the folks that are within our network. Because you're right, you know, once somebody writes a book, they have the opportunity to go on many stages to not only promote their book, but to promote their signature message. And so most people might say, well, I was good at writing, but I don't know about this whole speaking thing. So I think there's some value that you offer. So I'm gonna shift gears a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back because we're gonna land the plane in a moment. So say, for example, when you're ready to write your next book, and you had any place in the world to go to write your book. Say, for example, I was cutting the check, self-publishing 30 days, we're gonna cut the check to send you anywhere in the world to write your next book. Where would you go, Roquita?
Oh, to sit and actually write and just the process of it. You know what? I am most happy when I'm out in the sunshine. I'm such a simple person. If I'm sitting on a beach, that would be my ideal place. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I do not have to go to the Caribbean. Although if Self-Publish wants to send me, Jamaica would be a great place.
Okay. I like that.
I think that's where I would go. But as long as I have water, the sand, the sun, it's very calming to me. The sun, it just energizes me as well. So I would have to be in a beach writing. I'm a very simple woman.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind. So I've asked all of the authors that I've interviewed that one question, because I love my wife loves to travel, and I've caught the bug myself. And I love to hear the different places that people would want to go. I've had people say that they would want to go up to the cabins in the mountains. I had somebody say, you know, take me to Bora Bora. I had one brother say, just drop me off in Africa. I said, well, you know, Africa is a continent, right? He said, yeah, any place on a continent, just drop me off. I'll be all right. So I love that. Jamaica, phenomenal place. So where can people find you? Obviously, they can get a copy of Speak Up. From either one of us, right? So from either one of us, but where can people find you and support you, and also tap into the work that you do? Like, how can people connect with you?
Great question. So I'm all over these internet streets. I am active on Instagram, Roquita Johnson _public speaking. I post there very often. I also have a Facebook business page. Although LinkedIn, Instagram is more active again. LinkedIn, okay, LinkedIn Locksmith. I'm all over LinkedIn, especially because my audience, as I said, I'm looking at the female professionals and entrepreneurs. So I know I have to be on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is also my jam. You can go to my website, roquitajohnson.com. I have a blog there as well if people want to pick up some solid public speaking tips. Check out the blog, but I'm in all these spaces. And I have a YouTube channel, my YouTube videos, because I speak and I train, so I have to have a YouTube page. So you can just type in my name and get to my page.
We love it. Listen, your energy is contagious. I appreciate that. And it was such a pleasure to be able to interview you today. We wish you much success and just continue to operate in your gift. And as we wrap up, I just want to remind you, as a listener, as someone who's watching this podcast, to be encouraged, be blessed, but most of all, continue to share your faith. And the way that you do that is by walking in your gift, because your gift will make room for you. We'll see you next time. Peace.